Three, two, one. Ignition.
Yo, 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 what up? What's good, beautiful people?
You're fired again.
I kind of like the music, bro. I kind of like the
Get
music
it.
starting
Get
off
it.
where we
Get it. Escort this woman off the premises.
Nah, sis doing right. She's setting the mood. That sexy saxophone blazing, family. What's going on out there? Welcome, welcome everybody to the Prism Black Podcast episode. Wait, is this episode 4 or 5? We on 5?
Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
You bet. You bet.
Yeah,
Go ahead and mute that. What's going on, beautiful people? I am one third of the Prism Black Podcast, going by the name of William H, aka Murphy's Law 615. It's your boy. And I'm here with two of my best friends, my two co-hosts, gentlemen.
I go by Banks himself, aka the dude in the pink jacket, aka Banks himself, 1/3 of the Prism Black Podcast. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for the intro. I am Carl Tomlinson, aka Chaos Black, the writer, and I'm always a pleasure to be here, spending time with my guys, talking about things that are near and dear to us.
Great intro, guys. Great intro.
How's everybody's week been? Hump day.
Hey,
This is what, August 4th, 2021. Just to put a stamp on that. So by the time y'all hear this, it will already be a week in the future. But
yeah.
How y'all living?
I could say I can't complain, but that'd be a lie. But I ain't gonna do it.
Don't do you no good to complain no way, right?
I know, right? What is it gonna do? Make me sad? No. Make me money? No. It's gonna be
Carl,
I'm with Banks on that one. I'm not. I can't complain. I'm blessed and highly favored.
well, I could complain, but I decided rather than complain about it, I just do something to fix it, change whatever I don't like. That's typically my approach. Like I play it close to chest and just assess what I can fix or what I can change or how I can adjust the situation and determine that. And if not, I just accept what it is, let it do what it do and move on. But what's new? What's going on with y'all? Anything y'all want to before we get to the topics this evening?
I actually worked on all three of the Prism Black projects this week, so I'm happy about that. So,
Wait, did I just hear you correct? You worked on not one, not two, but three Prism Black projects. You want to give us a light insight on that?
So for 28 Gates, man, I pretty much got through the first two layers of hell. Just put it right there. I got through the first two layers of hell. So I wrote that out. I know.
Nice.
So I got about 18 left. But once they start flowing, they start flowing. So I drew a couple images for Revenge 2. So working on that, working on the layout on that, and then I just did some jet grind stuff. So I'm sticking and moving. So
I'm excited to see what's next coming. Not just with 28 Gates, but with Revenge. That's a special place in my heart with that one. But Psycho Ren, I saw the template you're working on, at least the foundation, and that looks like it's gonna be sick. So I'm excited to see what's going on with Psycho Ren.
I got a lot of good feedback from that on Instagram. So if you want to look at it, if y'all want to look at it, you can look at it at AKA Banks himself on Instagram. Not the AKA part, but just Banks himself on Instagram. You can check out stuff on there. Also follow Prism Black on Instagram. So it's Prism Black _. You can see all the content we put. Some of our snippets that some of our clips from here we'll have on there, and just general Prism Black content. So images from all the stuff we'll be doing, and we'll be looking to do more things in the future with that too. So
word upwards. Anything new in your world, Carl? Before we get to it,
not too much is sorry about it. Not too much is new. I know me personally. I wrote a few mock drafts for future episodes, maybe, and the potential for us or whatnot, just to see if we all agree on them. Just throwing some ideas out there, and just everyday grind with life and work and whatnot. So, not too much is new. At least not worth anything just talking about or whatnot. But it seems like I'm always the one to do this. But what's the topic today, fellas? What is the topic?
The topic
So
today.
before we get to that, what's new with me is there are new episodes of Hunter x Hunter. I didn't realize Hunter x Hunter. I don't know if I hadn't been paying attention to it or what, but the Chimera ants, the queen just gave birth. This shit's dark. I thought Hunter x Hunter was on some child's play shit. It is not. These niggas got guns. Like what? They gave the Chimera ants guns, bro. And they are just bucking on hunters and eating them. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, what is happening? So that's new for me. They uploaded some new episodes on Netflix. So if you are watching Hunter x Hunter, you can check that out there. On the comic books frontier, because I do frequent my local comic shop at least once or twice a week, maybe something like just kind of pop my head in and see what's up. But Milestone is back. It's interesting. We just did the verses with Icon and Blue Marvel. We talked about Static Shock, but there's been a whole relaunch. Milestone returns from DC. Issues number one, well, at least in my local Rick's, is out. And that's being coupled, I think, with the whole Infinite Frontier launch, which is like young DC. Static Shock is a part of this. There's Wonder Girl. There's a Joker cover, Harley Quinn cover. Just different characters now in this expanded universe, I guess. I'm not sure exactly what the story is with it, but there's multiple covers with each one, like kind of unique in their own way to each character. I'm not gonna lie, they've got my attention. I might decide to look into it because I saw the special edition Static Shock and Wonder Girl covers, and those for the bang for the buck. Like I'm not one to spend that type of money on a comic book, but I've done crazy things. I might just get those to put them, have in a collection. And August 14th, for those of you who care, is Free Comic Book Day. So if you are in the area locally, Nashville, where I'm at, I know Carl is there. Free Comic Book Day, August 14th. You pull up, you should be able to get at least a free comic. And I know a lot of shops run all sorts of nice deals for those who are heavy on the collection tip. And there's a con coming up in September, Music City Con, I think, or music. I got to go double check, but I got this information in my same local. Forgive me to our listeners for not having the exacts on that, but I brought that up because there's a likely chance you may see Prism Black wandering around there since that's local. So look out for myself. Carl, I don't know if you want to get in on that, but it's a big thing at this expo, I think in Wilson County somewhere. They do this pretty yearly, but games, anime, comics, graphic novels, all that. And last year I happened to pop in and miss actually getting a ticket, but they were, cool enough to just let me kind of walk in and check it out. But yeah, this year, now that we've actually got some traction, I think Prism Black might have to make an appearance. So y'all stay tuned on that. I'll have the deets on that next time. But other than that, we've got 4 minutes to spare. We can go ahead and get right to it. Tonight's topic, Carl, why don't you take us away?
Tonight's topic is Black representation in Black Panther. Black representation in Black Panther. So what do we actually mean by that? So first question to my esteemed panelists here is, how important is Black representation in animation, whether it be like cartoons, anime, comics, movies, or TV shows? Like how important is it to you all?
I'll go ahead and set this one off, man. Anytime you talk about representation, particularly as what we paint it is, or at least I presume it's being referred to, a lack of, in any sense of the word, is directly tied to supremacy. That's it in a nutshell for me. A lack of any type of Black representation in anybody else, it's directly tied or linked to a form of white supremacy. You think about the society that we grow up in and kids being, for particularly children who aren't white, seeing these shows, comic books, movies, music, everything, when there's a lack of people that look like you or a lack of inclusion or diversity, it kind of conditions you mentally to think that you may or may not be worth a damn. I could go, there's way more to get into, but I don't want to hog all the time or talk points on that. But my answer to that, or response in a nutshell, short and plain, if you have a lack of representation in any sense of the word, most likely 9 times out of 7 is directly linked to some sort of form of supremacy. So very important, I would say.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite.
Banks, what say you?
I know people probably finna dunk on me for saying this, but bro, I don't care. Like,
Wow, I wasn't
I
expecting that one.
didn't need Disney or any other comic book company or anything like that for them to put black people in comics for me to feel like I could be a superhero, or I could do this, or I could do that. Because I always felt like, coming from where I came from, like, if somebody didn't want to give it to you, you go out and do it yourself. So like that's kind of like what got me into making the like. Granted, I was inspired by like Akira to like, oh, I can make, I can do this, but the fact that there were no black characters was the reason I started making black characters. So it's like I didn't need, Black Panther to be the number one selling movie for me to feel like, I can make a superhero movie, or black people can be superheroes, or make me feel less about myself, because I've never needed that kind of like validation from, from a creator. I feel like, as I know it's gonna get like, as black people, like black people made rap. We didn't make rap because somebody gave us a chance. We just made it. We made blues. We just made it. We made jazz. We just made it. It was just us being creators and expressing ourselves the way we want to express ourselves, and then people liked it. So it's like, I feel like with the representation thing, sometimes I kind of feel like it's just people begging to be validated by people who they feel like are more important than them. So it's like, that's just me. So I don't really care about like the representation part, because if other people won't do it, then I'll do it myself. So that's just me.
Good point.
You
I never really looked at it that way. How do you feel about Banks' comment, Will?
give us your take because we're gonna stay on this for a minute. I'd like to hear your take before I jump back on that.
Well, as far as me personally, it's important for me from a subconscious standpoint because I can remember as a kid thinking like, oh, there no, I mean, where the I never said like where the black people at, like in the cartoons I was watching or the comic books I had or
Mm.
whatnot or whatnot. But as I got older, I realized some of the things that I enjoyed in my high school years and in my adult years were because of black representation. And we'll get into this a little bit later, but one of the reasons like Spider-Man or whatnot, and we'll get to that's another question later. But one of the reasons, like just a snippet, Spider-Man, the animated like the '90s like cartoon was one of my favorite cartoons growing up, is because I can remember like watching the episode and all of a sudden I see this black character and I was like, who is this? And like that's the first time I ever saw Blade. And like I was just thinking like, and I mean I didn't even like realize it, but one of the reasons like I never wanted to miss an episode because that was one of the first that was one of the first black characters like I saw like in a cartoon. And like I didn't even know it then. But at the time that's one of the reasons why I gravitated to it. And I'll elaborate a little bit into that like as we go on. But Will,
That's interesting. That's
go
an
ahead
interesting.
with you. What
I
you
wanted
got?
to get your take first because both of y'all brought up two very interesting points. But before I get into my response to Banks, I want to ask: do you think that representation matters to people who might be fans of your work?
You say, repeat that. My bad. I couldn't hear you.
Do you think that representation might matter for people who may be fans of your work? And I've got to follow up to that.
Do I think representation matters for people who may be like fans of mine?
Well, in contrast to how you said you didn't care, but I mean, did you consider that people might be fans of your work and they may very well think that representation is a big part of why they would want to even support Prism Black or anything that Prism Black's putting
I
out?
mean, if that's their reason, that's their reason. But if, like, I would, if they support me only because of that, then it's not, that's not really the goal behind why I make stuff. Because like my goal,
Mm,
my goal is to, one day inspire people the way the stuff that I watched as a kid inspired me. And it's
mm,
not like, oh, I want to be like this. I want to be Japanese because of this. It's like, man, I want to make stuff like that. Like I want to, when I
mm.
make stuff, I want people to be like, damn, like I could, this was
Okay, okay.
this was really good. So like when I make something, I want it to be at this level because this is really what I feel like is good, and like I can really chase my dream, or
So
be creative the way I want to be creative, and put out what I want to put out, and people can still like it. So it's like if people only support me because I'm black and not because my content is good, then it just means my content sucks, and it's like kind of like a consolation thing, like and that's how like a lot of I know
So
people.
you don't want the rooting for everybody black support.
I don't. I want the rooting for everybody black support, but I also want the I'm rooting for you because you're good. Like I'll take the I'm rooting for you. I'll take the solidarity because I want us to be solid and together. But I also want you to support it because it's good and not just some pity party. Because you black, I gotta give you something type deal.
Yeah.
See, that's just interesting because this isn't my take on it. Isn't some grand epiphany I arrived at when I was like 6 or 7. I mean, truth be told, as a kid, I didn't even get to watch cartoons like that because it was that type of household I grew up in. Even my access to animated stuff. I was watching a lot more wrestling, I think, before like around the time X-Men came out, the cartoon was when I was actually able to sit and have some time to watch cartoons. But when it comes to these comics and etc., let's say Batman was the first superhero I think introduced me to just heroes, period. I remember just Batman, right? After that, I really gravitated towards X-Men. And the reason I gravitated towards them, because they were dealing with a lot of relatable shit. Not that I was ahead of them, just I remember because that was the first comic book I got handed to me. Some local kid around the way, just gave me a comic book, and I remember reading X-Men, thinking like, "Yo, people pick on them, people don't like them." Muse, like all of that, kind of coupled and came across real relatable to me as like this is 9 or 10 years old, and I had the privilege of being raised by very Afrocentric. Like I was aware of my blackness. So to your point, Vaughn, when it came to comic books and stuff, I never really needed a black superhero to make me feel like I could be a hero. But I acknowledge that that's important because I used to late night watch the Super Friends on Cartoon Network. And I did used to wonder why Black Lightning was like such a minor character. Stuff like that would pop in and out. But whenever I would, get into my creative bag, my imaginative bag or whatever, I always saw myself as the black superhero in the team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Working with like if there was a super strength missing dude and it needed to be black, like I put myself in that position. Like I got the super strength squad and I'm coming through to help. You know what I mean? So it's interesting. I know we could probably go deeper into the representation, but I do say for the future and for kids today, particularly as of now that I'm grown and raising a kid on my own, I definitely like having the option to put something on the screen and be like, yo, that relates, like that hits a little bit because she says, "Oh, it's like me." She says stuff like that. And I like what all the black creators are putting out in terms like it does hit a little bit different, even though I never really paid attention, particularly with anime because it's all Japanese based. But it does feel a little good, a little better to know that there's some representation going on and there are black characters that are relatable for future generations.
Yeah, I'm not saying that like there shouldn't be any black characters in anime, but it's like I know like a lot of people go like you need this because this black
Thanks.
black
Move a little
people.
bit closer to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, in the mic, in the mic, in the mic.
My fault. I was looking the other way. But yeah, I know some people they get into the whole notion of like, oh, we need this because, you know, little kids don't know they can do this and don't know they could do that. I mean, yeah, I know psychology plays a part into like little kids, plays a big part in how they think and stuff like that. But like as me as a kid, I never needed that. So it's like I want Michael B. Jordan to be on screen because I think Michael B. Jordan can play the role, and I like the fact that Black Panther came out. But if nobody wanted to make Black Panther, I feel like it's up to us as Black people to put it out. It's like we don't have to, we don't have to beg a company to make something for us when we can make it ourselves. And that's really my biggest thing on representation because it's like I just feel like people just be begging for validation instead of actually wanting.
Well, is it begging to want creators and TV and all of that media to reflect exactly the demographic of what it looks like today? Because I'm sorry, but we're far removed from the whitewashing. That does trigger me to still see whitewashing happening. Like what was that? Gods of Egypt, the movie nobody went to see, and all of them was like, come on, stuff like that. We're far removed from that, and I don't think people. Go ahead, Carl.
No, I was gonna say, yeah, with stuff like that, that's like they making it for a white audience. They're not making it for black people. So when black people go and say we need black representation, it's like you begging somebody who you know don't want to do it for you to do it for you. So it's like, why not just, you know, do it yourself? And that way you can actually have it reflect your community, your values, your creativity, instead of having somebody nitpick what they want from your community, from your, you know, creative mindset, and then, you know, making changes to it. You could just legit just make it yourself.
Thanks.
I'm not saying everybody's begging, but it's like when it comes to like a lot of times, if you don't see a black character, like I'm not finna go to the studio and boycott this TV show. You know,
Hollywood was super segregated for a long time, though, dude. Like we can't act like only recently have people been able to break that mold. And
I'm not saying it wasn't, but with segregated Hollywood came Black Renaissance.
Fuck.
Like Spike Lee came out. Like Spike Lee was like, y'all don't want to make these movies, then I'm gonna make them. So all
Spike Lee was one director.
Hold on.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Thanks. Can I comment on it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so I understand what you're saying. Like, if somebody has no intention of like giving us representation, does not want to represent us for whatever reason, I understand like not begging them for representation. Like I get that. Like that makes sense. I guess what I won't say what other people are basically saying, like if this is a normal setting like animated piece or whatnot, and like you don't have like a representation of society, just
Carl, you were so beautifully in the middle of articulating a point.
okay.
Sorry, y'all. Zoom is hating on us again, so you know I had to up that. Come out my pockets. Sorry.
So basically, I understand what you're saying, Banks. Like if someone does not like has no intention of representing like black people, or like they don't want to represent black people, then we shouldn't be begging for their attention to represent us. But what I will say is, if someone creates some type of animation and it's not reflective of society in the least bit, or it's not reflective of a certain time period or a certain region of what the people like look like there, then they should be criticized for it. Like just like movie critics or TV critics like offer their opinions on something. Like you can criticize something, but not like say, "Oh, go back, go back to the drawing board and do this over." Like, no, we like you said, we don't need you, but at the same time, hey, we see what you're doing, and that's kind of foul.
No more Tom Cruise, Last Samurai. No more Matt Damon, Great Wall, like stuff like that.
That's a little different.
Like,
That's a little.
those are some
Different.
extreme examples, but it's like the thing is, throughout a lot of cinema and animation, film, all that, black people have been erased almost. At least the inclusionary factor aspects. And mind you, we kind of like built all of this shit, though. So it is like to Carl's point, and I get what you say, I hear what you're saying, but it's like I don't know how many people watch Bridgerton, but they did the extra mile, and I appreciate Shonda Rhimes for doing this, for setting a diverse cast backdrop in the Victorian era, because it's not just the main characters, which we know how that makeup is, but if you look around in the background, there are a lot of black people, Asian, what have you, whatnot, just walking around in what's supposed to be Victorian era England. And it goes to show that, yeah, we could have just had this representation all along. Like it's not even hard to do. Like, yeah, we know England was mostly white, but look how you can throw people in that backdrop and it doesn't take away or change or lose from the story. In fact, people still watched it as if it wasn't nothing. Like there's one black dude who stuck out to me because he's got frosted locks, the entire time. We know locks and dreads wasn't a thing in Victorian England, but so what? These are actors portraying characters. And when you paint it in that light, the representation conversation ain't that hard to have. And it's like Carl said, yeah, we can be critical of people for, being so one-sided for so long as they always have. It's like, let's just spread some love. That's me on that.
I don't mind being critical of, like trying to whitewash Egypt. That's a little different than,
That was bad.
that's a little different from somebody not, somebody saying that there's no black characters on this show, so how, black kids supposed to feel like they can be actors or they can see themselves like if they haven't, that's a little different.
Part of that starts at home, for sure.
Yeah. And it's like that's like two different scenarios, and I think a lot of times when people say talk about representation, they're really just saying why didn't you hire no black people for any of these roles, and instead of hey don't whitewash Egypt, from 6,000 years ago, because
Yeah. Yeah, and I like to add, and I want to make sure we don't forget, like, everybody's different. Like, some people literally don't think they can do something until they see somebody who looks like them doing that. Like, we can't overlook like that. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but a lot of people are like that. Like, a lot of reasons people choose like certain things or certain fields or even certain careers or whatnot because they seen somebody who looks like them do it.
yeah, and I get
Is that why people choose careers?
I mean, sometimes I get that too, but I was just saying for me
I
myself.
said sometimes.
Yeah,
No,
sometimes.
because when I think about how our parents and them came through an entire couple of generations where they didn't get to see that and made a way anyway. Like, I mean, I hear what you're saying, but I'm just posing that question just so as a talk point.
Okay,
Like,
like
is that a driving?
what I mean by that is like, okay, so let's say let's say I'm a kid and like I want success.
I understood
I
what you meant.
and like but the only people like say the only people around me with success sell drugs. Okay, well, what am I gonna do? Well, I'm not saying. Well, I won't say
Yeah,
what
bad
am I.
example because plenty of
I'm,
people don't sell drugs.
I'm not saying what am I going to do. What is there a good chance of me doing? Like if that's my only example of success around me, and I want success, I'm gonna get it one way or another. And
Bit of a
if I
broad
don't
stroke
know,
there.
I'm just saying. But if I don't know any other way to do it, the likelihood chances increasing me. I mean, it increases the chances of me doing that. That's what I'm saying. I'm not
Yeah,
I'm not saying someone is going to do that. I'm glad you pointed that out, but I'm saying like representation matters.
Well, we're not saying the representation doesn't, but now because here's the thing about representation that we are overlooking the fact that all these talk points do connect to like when I like Vaughn made a point. I said, well, yeah, partially it does start at home, but when you back out of the representation part, well, what's the main driving factor to why black homes are separated or destroyed or broken down? Or you like Carl, you were just talking about kids growing up. Well, that's a proximity thing. You know what I'm saying? Not like dispelling the myth. So it's the representation conversation does go a lot deeper, and we could go a lot deeper, which I don't know if we will on this show, but there's a lot more that goes into that whole like because I was looking at some a talk piece on it today. Forgive me for not knowing recalling where I got this, but they were beginning to go into a talk point on representation mattering because it does validate existence for some people. Like when you get into have you ever heard or a term we throw around a lot, self-hate, right? Have you ever heard somebody talking who seems to exhibit qualities of a self-hating Negro? I hate to use that term, but that's just what it is. The self-hating Negroes,
Yeah.
and when you bring up representation, I mean, can we draw some parallels and connect some dots there, some lines
What?
and what we
What?
would think? The lack of representation in, just for the sake of this episode, the lack of representation, would you think that plays a part in what we would deem self-hating?
no, just because there's so many other people.
Ooh, no. Okay.
There's so many people that outnumber that person that because just like if you took a group of black people and not
We're marginalizing now, right?
I'm just saying if we'll just say this in general terms, if you took 10
Yeah, taking
black
a
people, 9 of them aren't going to be self-hating. So it's like there's a reason, and I think that goes more so into other stuff. That's like there's a reason that those not at those 10 black people, 9 of them are not self-hating, and one of them is. It's more that goes into it than just what they see on TV. So so I don't agree with that. Just because if it was, then the majority of American black people would hate themselves. And I don't
But
think
Carl, you said we can't overlook that everybody is not the same. So what if that self-hating is one of those guys we can't overlook? Because I'm the type, I don't have tolerance or patience for self-hate. Like when people go, regardless of what you may see image-wise, when people start defending and justifying their bullshit with what I would deem ignorance, like example, I don't date black women because of attitudes. That's just like whatever, to each their own, but I don't entertain that conversation personally. You know what I mean? I got a black mama and several black sisters, and that like I don't entertain that conversation. Just you and your own circus. You know what I mean? Go do that elsewhere.
I guess
So do we pick and choose what we overlook and underlook or no?
I'm a little confused. What exactly are you asking as far as like with the self-hate and representation?
Because in direct response to Javon, he said, I mean, if in a group, only one of those is going to be, and I'm tying that back to how you said, well, everybody's different. You know, we're not going to overlook. So I was just asking. This is strictly advocate. I'm playing devil's advocate intentionally here, but you know, tying it back, you said we can't overlook. So, but that self-hate, brother, do we say no? Here's some representation for you. You don't have to feel that way.
I'm still confused. So are you saying like what I don't necessarily get it. I don't understand.
So in the flow of a conversation, you said everybody's different.
Yeah, I know.
And
what does that have to do with the self-hating brother though?
So I proposed the self-hate thing, right? And Von's saying out of a set group. So I'm now coming back to you and I'm asking you, well, are we still overlooking, even though it might be a self-hate thing, or is that something we just gonna push? Like I'm pivoting a little bit, but I'm creating an argument.
Are you saying like the author is a self-hating black person and not getting not getting representation?
No, because when you brought up that everybody's different, I felt like that was a kind of a, well, we're not trying to say representation should matter to everybody. So I'm going with an extreme with a self-hate.
No, I'm saying my comment was in regards to like everybody's different is some people need to see some type of representation of somebody doing a particular thing to believe like I can do, well, they did it, I can do it. Now everybody.
So do we give that self-hate brother some represent? That's what I was asking you. Do we give him the representation and now he doesn't feel the, and it's an extreme I just painted, yes. But do we give that representation or do we say F that?
Do we
overlook that?
Do we give him representation of what? Like I don't.
Do we put him on the show?
Yeah, no, like, but not as like, because when you say people feel like they can't do, so I'm all right, we got a self-hating brother, like whatever, like I use an extreme with the black women thing, but like somebody, I would tie self-hate most likely more times than not to a level of not believing they could do. Like when I associate self-hate.
Saying like, okay, so are you asking like, do we make a character that's self-hating?
No. When I associate self-hate, I'm explaining.
Okay, so do we get?
No,
so
I'm finna explain.
Okay.
No, I'm finna explain it. When I associate self-hate, I tie that most times to a lack of. And since we're talking about representation, a lack of the visual. Like I could tie most times a self-hate conversation to wanting to be like or emulate or imitate something else, particularly. All right, we're talking about representation and racial. So yeah, self-hate, we know self-hate, we are people we think don't want to be black, hate the fact that they're black. So if we're giving that representation, saying like you're saying everybody's different, and as I thought I understood, we're not forcing our representation opinion on everybody. However, we're not, you were saying we don't, we're not overlooking the fact that everybody's different, but I'm presenting an extreme. And well, what about this self-hate instance? Do we think that the representation would matter to somebody like that?
No, it wouldn't matter to them.
So then tying back to my point, henceforth, are we picking and choosing, which I said when I first started, are we picking and choosing what we overlook and underlook, or are there some lines there that could be defined a little bit?
No, I don't think we're overlooking. Going back
picking and choosing the overlooking, not the overlook, but the picking and choosing of it. Because
no, I don't think we're picking and choosing either. I just think some people, just like with anything, some people will be receptive to your work and some people won't. Some people will criticize or whatnot. But I'm saying that the representation matters because yeah, you're not doing it for the self-hatred person or whatnot. You're doing it for the person who may not necessarily have confidence in themselves.
So we are picking and choosing what we overlook and underlook.
You know
Because
what?
if we gonna do it for the low confidence, low self esteem, but not because in the same breath, what if Mr. Self Hate saw
Okay, but
everything
but what we're
potentializing?
what? Okay, so here's the thing: what we're doing won't matter to the self hate person. Like it's gonna they're gonna see it, may probably ignore it, not even gonna like really pay any attention to it or whatnot. Because like you said, there's like if they really are self hate and they hate their actual skin and whatnot, then I mean what we do or what other people do like for the culture and for people who live in our world or whatnot, they don't care.
Ooh, Carl got fired up. Okay. I only asked that just because, like you said, like we're not overlooking. So, I mean, for anybody who's confused, my stance is representation absolutely matters. And if anybody like that, Mr. Self, hey, fuck them. That's how I feel. But to Carl's point, I didn't want to, like, do we really overlook, or are we overlooking, or is everything just not for everybody?
Okay, so I wanna take this time to ask a different question. So, who were some of the first Black animated characters you saw on TV or like anime or who you rocked with in the comics? Who were some of those people?
Shit,
Thanks.
my first one, I'm gonna have to go with like shit, the black dude from GI Joe. That was the first one I ever seen. So like, there was dude from
Mr. T?
yeah,
Wasn't
Mr.
Mr. T in G.I. Joe at one point?
He was in
He was featured. I know he was originally
yeah, but like
18, but like wasn't he?
it was a black dude in GI Joe, and then you got the black dude from um shit
Oh, let me look that
damn Captain Planet. You got the of course you got the
Earth,
Black Power
Earth.
Rangers.
I think his
up.
name is
Mr. T
Kwame.
was
When his name
when he
Kwame?
did G.I.
Yeah,
Joe
his name
for
was
one
Kwame.
point.
Well, you got the Black Power Ranger. As a little kid, but as I got older, I ran into like Spawn, Blade, Black Lightning. You know, I mean, some of these
Nah, he was.
characters were from the '70s, and they had to, change how they look because they had bell bottoms on in their original comics and stuff like that. But yeah, just your OG characters, from DC and Marvel, from the '70s. Because my dad was my granddad and my dad and my uncles was like all in like comics and stuff like that. So just seeing the stuff that they was into, you would see the characters from back in the day. So yeah, those are some of my earliest memories of like black characters and like animation.
Nice. Will.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do something about this. This 1, 2, 3. This got to flow better. I gotta be funky. First, Mr. T never was featured in any animated version of G.I. Joe. For some reason, I remember him and Hulk Hogan being in something, but you know what? Whatever.
He was in
Um,
Scooby Doo a lot.
I gotta be real. Everything Vaughn just said is a big part of the reason why I actually never paid attention to animated characters like that. I don't think I remember Static Shock being on TV, but I didn't even watch that show aggressively like that. I'd have to say the first, not even animated. You remember this old show that used to come on Fox called Mantis?
No.
Does anybody remember that? That would be so. It maybe had 1 or 2 seasons. It was about a doctor, black, who was paralyzed, but he had developed some sort of suit or serum that at night when he put it on, he could walk and it enhanced his abilities. But that was like the first time that had to be third grade for me, second to third grade. First time I ever saw a black character get a lead on anything that was like that I remember visually. Like me and my mom made a thing because it came on Thursday nights, sometime around or before Living Single or after something. But like it was a thing to come home and try to watch Mantis while it was on TV because it was just a dope concept. And shortly after that was Spawn, and then Blade hit theaters, and the rest was history on that. But yeah, I wasn't too heavy on black animated characters. I think Mantis as a hero was the first black lead anything because all them characters like everybody Bond name side shows
Okay.
like not really significant to the what was. I remember black dude in Captain Planet, bro. It's just like what was he fire? or Heart.
He's Earth. He was Earth.
Earth. That's right. He was Earth. Like, it was like, but bro, hardly had lines most of the time other than Earth and to explain something. Or the Black Power Ranger. Remember that nigga Zach who could just dance?
Bro, Zach was the coolest person on Power Rangers. What did you talk until
He
Tommy
was. But a lot of to my point
came out with the white Zorg and the green, flute. Bro, Zach was the coolest person on Power Rangers. Everybody wanted to be the Black Power Ranger.
Till Tommy showed up.
Yeah, until Tommy.
I wanted to be Tommy.
Everybody wanted to be the Green Ranger.
Yeah, everybody wanted to be Green.
Bro, until Tommy showed up, everybody wanted to be the Black Power Ranger. Bro, he had the axe to turn into the gun, like the Mastodon. Like, bro, he was the coolest character on the show. I don't even remember the Red Power Ranger's name.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I don't remember.
I remember all their names. Don't play that game. Come on, bro.
I remember Blue.
We are the Power
Tommy.
Rangers. Trini from the Yellow Power Ranger.
Yeah, she passed away. R.I.P.
And Zach, I don't remember the Red Power Ranger's name, dog.
Nigga, Jason, Billy, Zach, Kimberly, Trini, Tommy. What's wrong with you?
Bro, I
The
didn't
pink
care.
one.
Rocky, Adam. Remember they added the Asian one and replaced the other one, Rocky and Adam. Come on, bro.
Hold on, the pink one's the one who did like Susie Q on the Disney Channel movie. What?
Yeah, that was Kimberly.
Yeah.
Miss Amy Jo Johnson.
Yeah, but I didn't even pay attention to the Red Power Rangers just because of Black.
I mean, but to
Power
that point, I didn't watch a lot of animated. Like growing up, before I even got to animated stuff, I watched black shows, like Different World, like stuff like that was on TV. That was all the type of TV I was allowed to sneak and watch. I didn't get to watch a lot of cartoons other than like DBZ. I had TV sections blocked off. My mom was strict, had to read and shit. So I picked and chose what I got to watch, and mostly it was wrestling and Dragon Ball Z.
So, for me, one of the first black characters I really paid attention to, like I mentioned it earlier, was Blade in the Spider-Man cartoon, in the '90s Spider-Man cartoon, because I was already watching Spider-Man and X-Men, the '90s X-Men cartoons. Like I watched those, and I know a lot of those characters like aren't black, but I identified with Spider-Man. I identified with X-Men. Like later on, I didn't, like Will said, like I didn't know the reason I loved X-Men so much, but found out they were based on black people. So that made sense. That made sense. Like as I got older and realized that why a lot of black people like identify with the X-Men and love like their characters so much is because like Stan Lee and was it Kirby?
Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
But there was a whole team there with that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's like they based all those characters like off of us. But I identify with Spider-Man because he was a nerd, and Will, like we went to a school for nerds, basically, and like
all schools are for nerds, Carl. What are you talking about?
You know what I mean? Don't. But
we went to a magnet school for those who don't know.
But he was a nerd, wasn't popular, got picked on a lot or whatnot. So I like
Who?
I said Spider-Man.
Oh, okay. Now I wanted to make sure I'm following your conversation.
Yeah, Spider-Man. So.
Well, no, Spider-Man wasn't a nerd though. That early '90s, he's actually kind of cool. He gets picked on by Flash, but he's not a.
He was a nerd in high school, bro.
Spider-Man was a nerd in high school.
Not the animated. Go back and rewatch that, bro. He's actually because Peep Game. He is a nerd. I'm not saying he's not, but he's not the unpopular like his rewatching that animated series. He's not as he's kind of.
I know what you're saying, like as far as like the '90s cartoon or whatnot, but how he's portrayed. But I'm saying even like at the start of that, he's not. I mean, he's not what he is like after he's bitten or whatnot. And that's kind of what I'm referring to. But going back to what I was saying, like I was already watching that Spider-Man cartoon, and when I saw Blade, like I was like, oh my goodness, like I was like a black character. And then after that, I remember seeing like Jon Stewart in like the Justice League cartoon.
My favorite Green Lantern. That's my favorite, bro. He is not with the shit. Like he is all about beating the shit out of people. And
John Smith is my favorite. Yeah.
Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on. What I say? John Smith.
John Smith, the fucking Pilgrim.
Yeah. Yeah, but like I
John
remember.
Stewart.
I remember John Stewart from the Justice League cartoon. He was a dope character. Like I remember certain episodes with like him at the barbershop in Justice League and like all these other things and whatnot. And Static Shock. I love Static Shock, even though by the time it came out, I think I was like in high school. But just the fact that he had his own show or whatnot. He wore his hair like me, he talked like me and my friends or whatnot. Like I mean, he liked science and math like a lot of me and my homeboys or whatnot. So I mean, to me, he was the perfect representation, and so that meant a lot to me. Like Blade, like I didn't realize how much like Blade meant to me, like it like as seeing him as a kid or whatnot, because like seeing Blade and then like in that Spider-Man cartoon and then him having like his own movie with Wesley Snipes, who we'll talk about a little bit later on. Like that's one of the reasons why I like vampire and like werewolf movies like now. Just because of like that, just because like of that particular character. Like in Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I used to pick Blade even though he wasn't like that strong of a character, just because like I mean he was the first, like not saying like there weren't others, but like real like real like black superhero that like got his own movie like in theaters. I remember like my mom would, like, you know how your mom would let you watch cartoons, Will, or whatnot. How you just
It
said
was it
that.
was it was TV period at that
T-
point in my life. I
yeah.
just wasn't. I was limited to 1 hour of TV a day.
Okay. So my mom would do that too, but except for like she wouldn't let me watch TV on like Monday through Thursday. She would let me do it like on like the weekends or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But but she wasn't having me watching Blade, like an R-rated movie or whatnot. Like that.
Demonic. Was it demonic or something? Too demonic.
But the killer part was like my dad let me watch it. Like he snuck like and like he said, "Don't tell your mother," but like but he let me see it, and like it was like one of the coolest movies. Like I thought I still think it's a classic or whatnot, and but very important to me, and like those were the characters that stuck out with me like as a kid.
Well, we can go
And
ahead
even
and
and even
segue. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, my bad, but like and even like I know I know these characters aren't black, but like even when watching Dragon Ball Z, like and looking at how people view and treat the Saiyans, like I almost identify with them a little bit, kind of like as black, just because like people kind of like had this negative like stigma about them, when in reality they didn't really. I know they're a violent like warrior race, but they didn't really have no choice. It was either do what Frieza said or die.
Dude, they were warrior race conquering shit before Frieza. People
Yeah.
didn't like them because they had been doing foul shit before Frieza. Frieza just consolidated that bigger bad and made them do more evil shit.
Yeah, I I agree. I'm
Just
saying,
saying.
but if Saiyans wanted to do something different, they didn't have a choice. That's what I'm saying.
I just really thought the Namekians were black. I never really related to the Saiyans because I was, first off, them niggas got their whole planet blown up. Like,
Bro.
hell no.
Bro, why does everybody think the Americans are black, bro?
Because of
Because Piccolo was that nigga.
It's just
Piccolo was that
because of
nigga.
Piccolo.
Why is
It's
everybody
just
like
because of Piccolo.
Yo,
So
Piccolo,
nobody
everything
else.
about Piccolo says he was 100% that guy. Come on, man. You know something I don't like, because I got to not divvy up too far off topic, because two things in response to you, Carl. We can go ahead and segue into the next topic, but it's weird, and we'll come back. You see everybody in Dragon Ball. You know what? Never mind. I'll save that for another. I'll save that. Two things. Chris Claremont. I want to give him his flowers, because although Stan Lee and Kirby kicked off X-Men, Claremont solely wrote X-Men through through the entire decade of the 90s, and some in the 80s a little bit. But there is a documentary on that. I forgot to watch that on Prime. Claremont and his X-Men or something like that. But it's Chris Claremont is the guy we owe our flowers to everything for the X-Men. Because he solely helmed that, written solely by and illustrated for long runs by John Byrne and Dave Cockrum and Paul Smith. But I do recall it was Claremont who was the guy X-Men was his baby, and Kirby and Lee wanted to write about that kind of stuff, tell those stories, but they let Claremont pretty much run that helm. So I definitely want to give him his flowers. And honestly, to piggyback off segueing with Blade, how do we really feel about this newer movie? Because that's, I mean, was that the end? Or am I too early?
Let's talk about that a little bit later. But if it's okay with you, I'll move on to a different topic. That cool?
Sure. I thought that was the segue.
Oh.
Well, I was going to segue to it, but I mean, that was aside from.
I thought that was the segue. I mean, we might as
No,
well.
we got a few things before we get to Blade. Since you was talking about Blade, I wanted to get to it, but I mean,
yeah, we already brought it up. We might as well talk about it. Like, how do y'all feel? I'm gonna be real with y'all. I can't wait to see it. I ain't never seen Ali playing nothing bad. I've been a fan of him since he played Cottonmouth in.
Hate they killed him off in Luke Cage. I hate that because Cottonmouth was a good villain. He was solid.
I stopped watching the show when they killed him. I was like, who are you gonna bring in after him? Like
Bushmaster.
He's the dude right here. And then they brought back the dude with the aluminum foil on his head, and I was like, what is this? Like, you could have just kept Marshall Ali.
I'll say this. I agree with Banks. I am looking forward to the new Blade movie just because, like I said, everything I said about the first Blade movie with Wesley Snipes. I feel like that's a classic. I feel Absolutely. like the especially the first two great.
The movies, first two for sure, yeah.
First two great movies. You can watch them pretty much anytime, not get tired of it or whatever.
That second one still holds up, Carl. Like I the other day I caught some glimpses and I was like, yo, this was. I wouldn't mind, like, we don't have to redo that, but if they just remastered it and re-released it, I'd be here for that because that was a pretty well done movie from start to finish.
Yeah, the first two Blade movies, classic, like dope acting, obviously, but just great movies or whatnot. And I think, like Banks said, you can't. The story from what I've heard is like. I don't want to mispronounce his first name, but
Mahershala.
But Mr. Ali called like Marvel Studios and whoever those cats are up there and said, hey, I want to play Blade. I mean, and like they said, like when you get that phone call for him and he says who he wants to play, you don't tell him no.
That's after he won an Oscar. They were saying that, right? Yeah, after he got the Oscars, like yeah.
I mean, but even if he didn't win that Oscar, like that's what. And I'm not to throw shade, well, whatever, but that's some stuff DC would have messed up. They would have been like, well, we're gonna go through the process, and if they might have told him like, oh well, wait, no, Marvel's like, yes, you're Blade, and as they should have, because I think he's gonna kill this role. He's got the athleticism. He's got. I mean, I think he'll get in the gym, hit the weights, look the part or whatnot, and he'll bring the aggressiveness or whatnot that it needs to play that character and that role. And like Banks said, I'm looking forward to that. And I think he'll do it justice because, like, as you pointed out in earlier episodes, without Blade, we don't get the MCU.
When it comes to Mahershala Ali, I don't have a problem with him as Blade. I was a little interested to see possible other contenders, but I'm glad they landed because honestly, I'll be real, I was kind of holding out for them to bring back Wesley. He seemed to be in good enough shape. He's still putting out some movies on Netflix, and he had one not too long ago. I want to say maybe around 2016, 2017. I caught Pops watching it, but just and Wesley is actually a certified world-class martial artist.
Yes.
So I was excited to see, in his age and shape, if he could still do it. And with CGI, I was like, oh, this might be a shot because, again, the only reason I wanted that to happen is because without a shadow of a doubt, Blade, the movie, when it released, saved Marvel Studios in terms of its film production prospects, but also the revenue generated from that kind of helped, maintain some equity in the comic production, like kind of kept them afloat and solidified them absolutely 100% as a Hollywood force in terms of making movies. So for that to be the lead franchise with, let's call it what it is. Blade was very much a B-list character in terms of superheroes. He was introduced in Spider-Man, but mind you, introduced. That was Spider-Man show. Blade wasn't, he didn't become the main guy of his own thing until after the success that Wesley Snipes brought to that. So, and like Carl said, the first two movies, instant classics, particularly that second one, because you got the perfect, like from start to finish, introduction of a new vampires, and not just any vampires, they're hybrid. Everybody's seen Blade too, but I mean, it was well executed. A vampire task force that's meant to hunt Blade, but ends up having to work with him. It was a star-studded cast too. That was well done. So with Mahershala and his successes, I'm a fan of the guy, and I like everything he's done of the actor. Excuse me, not the guy, like I know him personally. But yeah, when he made that phone call, the thing, and it sticks out to Marvel for me. You could tell that writer's room and that production room are a bunch of nerds and geeks, and they're fans of the material that they're actually producing. Because like you said, Carl, DC, 100%, I feel you. They made, well, not DC, Warner Brothers. I want to make that distinction in case DC ever calls us. But Warner Brothers definitely
Warner Brothers
probably would have dropped that ball. They may have dropped that ball as a studio. Just, with the process, I don't know.
Was Blade the first Marvel movie?
Real one, yeah.
Let's Google.
It was the
I
first
want to
real
lean
one.
towards yes, but no, because there were Marvel movies out before that.
No,
we have an '80s Captain America, but
I'm not saying there weren't Marvel, but it was the first. It was the first like serious one where you were like, oh crap, like this is. I mean,
so what people count as officially first Marvel, which kicks off the MCU, is Iron Man. Blade is just a Marvel movie, not the first MCU movie. Just a movie used with Marvel licensing, basically.
So would Blade be the first Avenger?
No.
As much.
How old is Blade? Because if we could, no, hold on, Carl, hear me out. Hey. Dracula exists in the Marvel universe. True or false?
Yes.
Okay. With that said, we could probably. Vampires live a long time, dog.
Yeah.
Time travel, multiverses. I don't know. We can make something happen. You know who's a writer? Chaos Black. Why don't you get started on that script, homie?
Write it up right now.
No, but I'm laughing, but dead ass. That's why the brain script. These days, bro, you put together something that's saucy and send. Hey, you might get a phone call from. Hey, yo,
Did I tell you guys I actually wrote a movie script?
When'd you write it?
I wrote it this year.
Okay.
Yeah, let's have a meeting about that. No, for real. Let's have a meeting about that. I'd be interested to hear what you're working on, though. I'm enthralled. You want to give us any don't say I wrote a script. Give us a something like a verbal preview.
Synopsis.
Yeah, synopsis. Give us a verbal preview.
So the script is basically is Afro horror. And basically
horror?
Yeah.
I'm so glad you said this, Carl. Go ahead. Keep going.
It's Afro horror. And basically it starts off by the main character experiences some deep trauma, and his parents they don't really know like how to handle it or whatnot. But long story short, after this trauma where the main character sees something happen to like his friend or whatnot. Fast forward later, he wakes up, gets a phone call, and as an adult, he's a detective. He arrives on the scene to find that there's been like a gruesome murder, and it's so gruesome that nobody knows kind of like what's happened or whatnot, and nobody has any answers, and it's to the point where basically
but don't give us too much. You copyrighted everything. We don't need to want people hearing your storyline and stuff and borrowing stuff. But I mean,
but basically it's a guessing game of who it actually is. Like you get clues or whatnot, but
So kind of a
So
whodunit.
basically, it dives into some of the traumas that Black people go through, and and it's a huge fight between like his parents or whether or not they should seek like therapy and counseling and all these other things or whatnot. And like as you guys probably know, like that's not a huge subject where we're high on about seeking psychological help like with trauma in the Black community. And
Huge stigma.
and it
Yeah.
touches on that a lot. And basically I mean at the end you find out who it is or whatnot.
Okay, we'll get a
And
review.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Now I wanna read into the, or at least if I don't know if you're comfortable sharing, letting us read. Like I would definitely like to dive into your
yeah,
story, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
you can read it.
Okay.
You can read it. Like it's definitely in our genre that we talk about. There's there it's that it's very science fiction oriented or whatnot.
I'm picking
And
up some horror elements now.
yeah, it's horror because
Okay.
it's horror because like obviously this thing that's doing the killing doesn't want to be caught. I
Oh,
mean,
so it's not necessarily a person.
it's I won't say it's necessarily a
Spoiler
Okay.
alert.
person.
Okay. Okay. Now you got you. I'm sold. I'm willing to read. I'm glad you brought that up, Carl, because when we talk about representation, I was hoping we get a chance to get into this a little bit, but for the longest, it has killed me to not, now that I know better, to not see proper representation in what is otherwise like horror, one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite. But I've longed for a film that shows or puts Black people in a realistic situation. Well, as realistic as the rules and tropes of horror get, and actually shows us acting the way that we know most niggas would. Like not the stereotypical tropes. Like I'm so tired of all of that. And for once, I talked to Vaughn about an idea I had a while back, some months ago, with along those lines, and I'm still toying with and coming back with because that was spawned by my Horror 300 challenge. Halloween that's coming back, so y'all can get in on that if you brave enough. But Carl, I'm definitely interested in seeing what you got, bro, because we might have to slice up a horror episode for Halloween because there's plenty of horror anime out there to talk about and dive into, and I can't wait. So,
Yeah.
Vaughn, what you think? Nigga, you got ghosts in your apartment?
I'm looking at you, bro. What the hell you talking about over there?
Who?
You.
Who, me?
What'd you just say?
I asked what you think.
Oh, about the horror episode?
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
definitely down because I love.
What you thought I
horror.
said, Nick?
No, I thought I didn't know what you said at the end, so I was like, well,
No, what you think, bro. Like a horror episode.
nah,
Before we segue to Black Panther.
that's definitely cool. I'm cool with that.
Now, we all agree Blade saved Marvel, or are we gonna call it the first?
Yeah.
Are we all
Marvel
agreeing that
movie?
Blade's the first Avenger?
I can't do that, but he did save Marvel.
Uh,
There would be no Avengers without Blade, but is he technically an Avenger? Probably not.
Yeah, because Blade probably would have murked. He would have neutralized the threat a while. And that's the thing. Dracula, I brought up Dracula being in Marvel because he is pretty powerful. I don't know if he's up there with Thanos, but he has apparently all of his vampire powers, which puts him on the power tier. He's high up. He's up there. He can do some shit. So Blade's an Avenger. Mahershala Ali in Phase 4.
I can't wait. I
So
wonder
is Blade part of Phase 4? Is this because Morbius is coming into this fold too, and I like what they're doing with Leto's character.
he might
With
be
that
Phase
movie,
5.
Phase 5.
I
All
think
right, I
he
deal
be
with it.
Phase 5.
Marvel's getting my money, whatever, regardless. So.
But yeah, I wonder if they're gonna redo an origin story with the new Blade, or if they just gonna jump right into it.
Do we need an origin story?
I mean, the first one, the old Blade wasn't really an origin story. They sprinkled some origin segments in there, but like it kind of like, hey, vampires out here, I'm out here, and it's kind of like it. And it's like, well, along the way, you find out how he became a vampire. But it's like I don't really think the first one was an origin story either. So I don't think we need it. I just get in there and get the cutting folks.
do we need? Okay, so because I haven't heard anything on Whistler, that's why I asked.
Yeah, I
Like when
have.
you say origin, I'm like, do we really need to rehash? But when I think about when Blade the first one came out, it's
Yeah,
been almost what,
that was 20 years
that was
ago.
20 years ago. Yeah, so yeah, we might need a. Hmm. I'm here for it. I'll support that, brother.
Yeah,
Regardless, I'm down for a new Blade trilogy. Run it.
Yeah, that's a good point. At first, no, I would say that's a great point. Because at first I was thinking, no, we don't need one. But like you said, it's been so long since like the first one came out that there's so many young people have grown like since then that an, um an origin story in the first movie wouldn't be a bad idea at all.
Here for it.
Yeah.
definitely here for
Here
Um.
it.
for it.
So I wanted to talk on this episode. I wanted to talk a little bit about like Black Panther, the character, and like the upcoming movie that will be coming out in the near distant future.
Wakanda
Um,
forever.
as far as as far as like the movie in itself, what storylines do you see as a possibility, especially going along with like the comic book character itself?
Well, me personally, um, from what I've been reading, and them talking about maybe bringing back Killmonger, I was thinking that maybe this storyline, they focus more on T'Challa going to the underworld and somehow bringing him back, and then introducing Mephisto into the world. Uh, and I think that's what they're gonna do because they aren't focusing on T'Challa from what I've been reading in this movie. So it's like about the other people in Wakanda. So it's like since it's doing that, they might actually um, have skip some time in the comics and have it to where there's T'Challa isn't the ruler, and then have him go to the underworld and bring some people back that he felt like didn't deserve to die or whatever. And then I think Mephisto is gonna get introduced right there, because even though from what we've seen on like the Marvel shows so far, I don't think Kang is going to be the big bad of the entire phase like Thanos. I
Who?
think Kang the Conqueror. I don't think he's going to be the big bad of the entire phase 4, 5, and 6. I think he's probably going to be the big bad in the Eternals movie, but I don't think he's going to be the end all be all like Thanos. I think they're going to go bigger and something. Uh, I think Kang is going to be a catalyst from all these movies, so I think they're really going to probably introduce like other some really really uh, obscure characters. So I think they have room to uh, bring in some villains and have some of these villains play major plot roles up until they get to the big bad. And I think that's what they're gonna do with Wakanda Forever when they bring in like the villain of that movie, which is I think is gonna be Mephisto.
I heard through the rumor. Well, first and foremost, I've got to lean towards the Atlantean Wakanda War, just because we've got a cast. We've got Tenoch Huerta, who allegedly has been cast to play Namor. And looking at his IMDb, he already has the credits. So we think we're getting Namor introduced. Allegedly, they have, I mean, they're filming currently, but they've cast Maybelle Cadena to play Namora, who is the Bullet Girl opposite to Namor's Bullet Man. No mentions of Doom, but all signs seem to be pointing in the direction of the Atlantean Wakandan War, which, for those who don't know, spoilers, at this point in the Wakanda story timeline, Shuri has assumed the mantle of Black Panther. I don't know if we're gonna get that in the MCU because I know that Letitia Wright, there was some backlash for some comments she made, but I hope she can keep the role, and I would love to see her come back as Shuri because she did that some justice. But if they go in that direction, which I'm trusting Marvel on, that gives us some time for them to figure out what they're going to do with T'Challa as a character. From what I've been reading, this Wakanda Forever is supposed to focus on a lot of the supporting cast as well as dive us deeper into the world of Wakanda. No mentions of Doom, even though it's been teased that he might show up. But the Atlanta Wakandan War directly leads to some to the Doom Planet, and well, indirectly there's some connections there to Doom Planet, and if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that, but I believe so. And just that whole Illuminati story, what the reason why that war kicks off. Do I want to spoil that, guys? Yeah, I mean, if Marvel's going to tell, I don't know if I
If
want
you
to
talking about
spoil
the
why that.
Illuminati, with like
Go ahead.
Marvel,
Well, so the
Prism,
Atlanta Wakanda War kicks off
yeah.
because of the incursions wars in which multiple Earths in the multiverse were going to crash into one another, some of sort. T'Challa at the time, he's alive, of course, in comics. He couldn't bring it upon himself to destroy a planet that was inhabited, another Earth, to say even if it meant saving his own. So he destroyed a dead and uninhabited Earth, and still felt some kind of way about that. Namor, on the other hand, didn't think twice about it. Destroyed two Earths to save his own and said, "F it." Wakanda didn't feel some kind. They felt some kind of way about that. Shuri, particularly, and went ahead and launched an attack that decimated Atlantis while Namor was away. He comes back, finds his kingdom destroyed, off kicks your Atlantean Wakandan war. But that's a heavy storyline, and in the midst of all that, Thanos is still active because that predates the Infinity Story. So we've got Proxima Midnight and what's his name that gets his hand through the force field taken off, but they're the ones who kind of deliver that news to Shuri. You know, at this point, I think in Wakanda, Black Panther is king of the necropolis. Carl, double check me on that, but shadow physics are a thing. So it's just, I smell a recast coming for T'Challa if they go that direction.
They don't have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, they really don't have a choice, but at least if in Black Panther 2, if they take this direction, that's a big enough story to tell to remove the focus or pivot the focus from T'Challa, at least until, because along as fans, we want to see one thing, we want to see a continuation. But that doesn't take into consideration what the cast, who no doubt very much became a family and bonded through that entire process, what they may be feeling and how
So
they feel.
I got a question. I got a question for you all. So we've been talking about representation. Why um how important is the character of Black Panther in general important as far as like representation goes, and how is that important in playing into the decision of why you cannot kill off T'Challa, even though what happened with Chadwick?
I don't think you can kill off T'Challa because T'Challa is Black Panther. Like,
Yeah, Chadwick Boseman
I
wasn't.
know there's been
But
other people who hold the mantle, but when it comes to the Black Panther, T'Challa is the Black Panther. It's like it's not somebody else. Like it's not just kind of like Logan is Wolverine. Like Wolverine, yeah, you can give Wolverine mantle to people and put them in a costume, but like the entirety of the Wolverine story is Logan. No, even after he died, people try to become Wolverine, but Wolverine is Logan, and that's who people think about when you say Wolverine. It's the same way with Black Panther. Everybody thinks of T'Challa, even though Shuri's been Black Panther. Other people have been Black Panther, but that's who the character is. So if you talk about any other storyline, nine times out of 10, if you're talking about a Black Panther storyline, you're talking about T'Challa.
yeah,
So I think unless you just start making up storylines off the or you do like the work off the few storylines you have where T'Challa isn't Black Panther, you have no choice but to recast him because the story, like all of the comics, are based on T'Challa, so you have to.
Yeah. Do you think part of the reason you have so many Black people saying put the character to rest because we haven't had so much representation in movies for Black superheroes, so they're not familiar with how superheroes are done in movies?
anybody
I
saying that never grew up
never
reading Black
really
Panther
read
or
the comics because, like, yeah, granted, it's a messed up situation and very sad situation that somebody passed um, from cancer, but somebody who was saying that you should put the entire character to rest, um, then you won't have like a lot of there is no more Wakanda outside of T'Challa in the MCU. You're gonna have the short series of Shuri comics, and then you'll maybe have like the Killmonger series, which they're doing now, but they're just now writing that. So it's like um, the people. I think the people who are saying that don't actually weren't actually fans of Marvel or Marvel
Yeah.
comics before some of this, before.
No, absolutely. If I can jump in, people who are saying that, and I'm vocal about what I used to be. I'm not so much on social media, but I tell people like, man, like shut up. Like I'm not afraid to say like you if you that's the statement you make, and I understand people's sentiments and people are allowed to have their opinions and their thoughts. Uh, but if you didn't grow up reading any of this or know about that it's new to you, then like for me it doesn't carry much weight. T'Challa is the Black Panther. We get some runs with other, with other people who step up and may take the mantle, but all of your top 10 best Black Panther stories is T'Challa. I mean, X-Men versus Avengers, T'Challa's present. Uh Mary and Storm, that whole thing where Storm is a god, like T'Challa is present. Like the Illuminati, all the best Doom Planet, all this stuff happening, it is T'Challa. So
when he has the Infinity Gauntlet,
yeah, he does get a hold of that Infinity Gauntlet at one point.
King of the Dead.
He's the King of the Dead, the King of the Necropolis. There's so much with the character, and not to walk back and clarify my statement. Chadwick Boseman, yes, was the Black Panther. He portrayed it, but he is not the Black Panther. I love what he did and brought to that role and as a character to the character, and I'm a fan of his as an actor. And rest in heaven to him and what he did for the role.
Yeah.
But to kill off an entire character due to the unfortunate circumstance that took place with him.
And I like to give my 2 cents on this. Let me be very clear. I respect everybody's opinion. I understand what Chadwick Boseman meant. I understand how good he was how great he was for the culture, how much he gave back, like all the things he did, all the other characters or people that he portrayed in other movies or whatnot. Like and I mean he was gonna go down. I mean he is one of the
he
great,
is going down.
Now, I won't say he was, like he is one of our greatest actors.
Absolutely.
Like I'll give him his praises on that. But in my humble opinion, I'm not saying that those people who like people who want like them to put T'Challa to rest and like Shuri to be like Black Panther, whatnot. I'm not saying like you're wrong. You're wrong in a sense because you're entitled to your own opinion. But here's the thing. Like my esteemed colleague said, the most infamous, the most famous, popular, most well-known Black Panther of all time is T'Challa. It's him. Like when you say Black Panther, you say T'Challa. Like I mean, he's the most famous one. Okay, so basically, if you kill him off, this is the equivalent of like Ben Affleck dying and you killing off Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
This is like if
It's a good draw there, Carl.
This is like if Henry Cavill passed away and you killed off Clark Kent and Superman.
Who else gonna take down the KKK, man? Black Panther. T'Challa did that in a cop. So those who don't know, he did that.
And furthermore, I don't have anything against Shuri or Letitia
Love
Wright.
Letitia Wright. Love Letitia Wright.
Letitia Wright or anything. I am not saying that she can't be Black Panther eventually or whatnot. But my thing is, why just give her a suit and recast him. You can have two Black Panthers or whatnot. You can have her in a suit or whatnot. And honestly, this is just my humble opinion. We're talking about like representation on this. I think if you were to kill off the T'Challa character, it is a way of putting away a strong Black male role model and figure or whatnot. It's a way of putting that figure or image down. How you can especially I watched a speech where Chadwick said that Hollywood loves to tell Black actors, Black men and women, there's no place for you here. No, there's no place for you here. Why not give someone the opportunity to take over that character? Like, I mean, you can make it in a sense. You can look at it as a way that, hey, if you're playing Black Panther, this has to be the best of the best. You got to bring your A game.
I think anybody who would step up into the role, that goes without saying.
Yeah,
But it's interesting you brought up the representation because that notice they've done a very strategic, good job, Marvel that is, at kind of setting up Shuri to at least, if not permanently, temporarily assume the mantle for a little bit. And I'm gonna go back and rewatch because I came across a list of top 10 things to look out for that would point you in the direction that Shuri might be next Black Panther. That I want to go back and rewatch. But I heard through the rumor mill that we were supposed to get Kang and Ant-Man, and he appears in Loki. I hear that in Black Panther 2, we may actually get Riri Williams making an appearance.
you might get who?
Riri Williams?
Next, Ironheart.
Ironheart. She is Ironheart. She is a 15-year-old MIT student who reverse engineers some Tony Stark tech and gets her suit, which I think that would be interesting to tie into if we do have Shuri stepping up with the advanced technology we know Wakanda has. And if Riri, even if it's just a cameo kind of, because there is a Ironheart series coming, I think, to Disney Plus, but that's going to be interesting to watch in terms of what they do with Phase 4.
I think
The representation.
not to dominate the conversation. Stop me if you guys have want something.
No,
to say.
take off, Carl. Go ahead. You lit.
But I think a story plot that they can look into is look into it as is for the new movie. Have it to where this when they do the snap, that people just may look. It's a chance people may look a little bit different, or they may have some different characteristics or whatnot. So like you can use that to where especially with T'Challa and his writings and dealings with like the underworld as the king of the dead or whatnot. You can go into that, like you can go into that whole aspect of where, and even you can even introduce other characters like Doctor Voodoo and or whatnot, and like all these all like you were mentioning like Ironheart. You can do so many things to where T'Challa is making his way to the underworld and like even having conversations with Killmonger and Michael B. Jordan or past kings.
When you say different, what do you mean?
Well, you hold on.
You
Like
say everybody comes back from the snap different?
like you can have it to where okay, like people are snapped back and like you're we're just now seeing like there's a multiverse or whatnot, and you can have it to where someone's brought back and maybe their appearance is a little bit different.
Like how though?
You
Yeah,
can I
appearance would be
mean some
different
people may
because
be
We
taller.
established a big retcon already that people who came back from the snap came back exactly as what they were doing when they left from the first snap.
That, that's a
That's
great
established
point.
in that's established. So I mean, how when you say different, how exactly?
Well, you
'Cause I'm following where you're going. I'm intrigued to well, how different in
You
what
can
way?
you can you can you can have it to where so like it's announced like everybody who's come back, like they're not exactly like 100% like the same. Like they may have different aspects about themselves, maybe different hair color, different height or whatnot, and you can make it to you can explain it in a way that um explain it in a way where T'Challa looks different to where to maybe where even so the only person who notices that he looks different is himself.
Maybe different because as I understand the snap return in Spider-Man, as they explained, everybody came back in exactly the moment they were wherever they were doing when they first got snapped away. So maybe it's not that uniform across the world. Like maybe in different places, maybe people are coming from other multiverses or other worlds. Maybe.
Well, well,
I don't even think they have to do that. Just
I mean, they may not because
if they just recast him, we all understand why he was recasted. It's not because of I don't think they have to write that into the story of why this person looks different. We know why Chadwick Boseman is not playing T'Challa anymore from an
hey,
unfortunate situation. So I don't think they have to
into the
go.
mic, Banks, into the mic.
Honestly, I don't think they have to go to the depths of explaining it in the story because we already know why Chadwick Boseman is not playing him anymore. It's because of his unfortunate situation from his cancer. So I just think that if they just gonna do it, they just gonna have to do it.
Great point.
No, also, we may, to your point, Carl, we may get a little bit further deep dive in Ant-Man 3, the Quantumania thing. Doing some Googles and looking up some stuff, but apparently in Endgame, there's a freeze frame in which they're traveling through the quantum realm, and a city of Kangs is actually in the back, like one of his city, that city wherever is like multiple, though they're there, and you can freeze frame them and see them. So there may be some explanation further to the quantum realm, because what you just hit on is an interesting point in terms of people coming back. But we know we'll see how it develops. I think that Wakanda and Atlantean War is just, it's too good of a perfect setup, because that of course allows them to not only give us a temporary feel for T'Challa with Shuri. Maybe we introduce Riri, but if we for sure have Namor and Namora, well, that's our automatic segue into Fantastic Four. There's a constant thing with Namor, Johnny, a love affair with Sue. We know all of that, right? And I think What If is going to kind of daisy chain and give us between What If, Ant-Man 3, and Black Panther 2, we in Eternals, we get our entire setup phase, like what's coming in phase 4, our outlook.
I'm really excited for it.
So I gotta ask.
I didn't hear you, Vaughn. Say that one.
I said I'm really excited for the Eternals movie, just because I think that's gonna bring a whole new aspect. I think that's really what's gonna set up the next. It's gonna be the setup for like the next phase, just because it'll start explaining to like some of the cosmic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Since we're getting into multiverses and stuff like that, they'll bring the cosmic aspect to it. So I think that's what's really gonna open up everything. So I'm ready for that one.
Yeah, I gotta ask. So who do you guys want to? Who do you guys want to be the next actor to play T'Challa?
I don't have a particular preference on it. I trust with Marvel. I've said that before. I trust Marvel, what they're doing. The geeks in that writing room in that studio, I know they're gonna make a solid decision on who they pick. So I'm just kind of like, I'm rolling with it.
Yeah, I know it can't be just anybody. Like it can't be like some up and coming person, because like you have to. People are gonna expect the same level of acting, and from the next person, because it was Chadwick Boseman. It wasn't like it was just somebody that they grabbed, from, this is like his third movie, and they just grabbed him and hoped that it would work out. It was a well-known, well-respected actor who was like dedicated to his craft. So I think they're gonna have to get somebody who can fill, that shoe, as well as, the shoe as I can work with these people. I'm here.
Who comes to mind though to you?
Honestly, I don't know. Like it's gonna be a tough ticket. So
yeah, there's several things to consider with that, because a big part, not only what Chadwick brought to the role, but the rollout for Black Panther was a hell of a ride. Like, rewind time to when we first got whispers that Black Panther was going to appear. From the first inklings that we would see him in Civil War, and then, we're getting a Black Panther movie. Like, when it was announced that they were doing Captain America Civil War, I remember looking at some message boards, and a number of internet nerds were just like, so where's Black Panther? Are we getting, y'all can't introduce this story if we're not going to blah, blah, blah. Like, in the studio, listen to Marvel's credit, hats off. I mean, can they, like that, think about that rollout. That introduction, or not Civil War, excuse me, Winter Soldier when he first appears?
It was
Civil War.
It's a Civil War. I'm thinking, excuse my memory, but yeah, when he first appears, the hype, the excitement, going to see that movie, knowing we're gonna get a shot of Black Panther. Even if, like, when the helicopter started shooting and he boom, 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 bullets bounced off, and he turned around and looked, it's like, yo, that's Black Panther. So a lot of that played into, and I think Marvel's gonna double down on that, another rollout, because whenever they decide to bring T'Challa back, if they decide to, which I'm hoping they do, but I mean, a big part of that was just the euphoria of knowing that you would get this character that I don't even know if the comic books or the 90s really gave that much, like, yeah, if you read it, sure, but widespread, did people really know? And so the build up to that, the whole think about all the companies that got behind the release of Black Panther, like even theaters were, I mean, I don't know if I would have, if it mattered as much to me, but they were bringing in dancers and troops and stuff to do stuff, celebrating the release of this movie that was a all black cast, black director, and ended up being one of the highest grossing $1 billion opening. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot that's going to go into this next one. So I expect it to be bigger, and to that aspect, that's a lot of weight on whoever steps into that role on those shoulders. So I think the studio will make the right call, but I don't know.
Another reason why I think it's I don't think it's up for discussion. You have to recast T'Challa. Black Panther, arguably the best martial artist in Marvel Comics. Period. How many people can you honestly say are a better hand to hand fighter than Black Panther?
Off the rip, very few. I know he knows a lot
I can only think of one who I can say this guy's better.
Who?
Shang-Chi.
I was gonna say Shang-Chi, but
who's actually got a movie coming out.
Yeah, you do. I was gonna say either Shang-Chi or Iron Fist, but
dig this. There's a list for that.
Even though Iron Fist wasn't in his right mind, BP beat him.
Black Panther doesn't even make the top 10 in terms of hands. I disagree with that.
Yeah, but that's like fan made.
No, but I disagree with that because he knows over 1,000 different. Like he's up there.
He knows every form of martial artist arts there is, and his own that he even made up.
But here's the thing: Black Panther's not on this list, but the Dora Milaje are on this list.
That's a fan list.
This is from Scream Rant, best Marvel martial artist ranked. Shang-Chi being number one because he is like the Marvel with no suit. Yeah, so he's number one. Iron Fist behind him, then Elektra. No, I put Black Panther in the top three, probably top two.
That's a fan list because those vary.
Yeah, I put him in the top three, top two, easy. Like I don't know, but some of these people I don't know. Colleen Wing.
No.
Nah, Black Widow deserves to be on this list, but the Dora Milaje.
She's not better than Black Panther.
No, just in general on the top 10 list. Among these other people, if she's mentioned, then I put it there, but she's not certainly not better than Black Panther. Wong from Doctor Daredevil, Batroc the Leaper. Yeah, we'll just scratch that list. I'm gonna put BP in the top three in hands. I put it. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. Top three hands in Marvel.
Banks, what do you say?
I'm definitely putting him. I would put Black Panther over Iron Fist, but who the fuck put Elektra as number 4? Who did
somebody?
That was from Scream Rant.
Hold on, no. You know who did it? Somebody who thought Dipset won last night.
You know what? I told y'all.
Wherever they're at.
About this,
now here's from CBR.com. CBR's list is better because some of those people are at the end. White Tigers 13. Ikari, never heard of Elektra's 10. This is a better list. Psylocke 9. Spider-Man 8. Daredevil 7. Shang-Chi 6. Mantis at 5. Karnak at 4. Captain America at 3. No. Master Izo. Well, Cap's got hands. He is training a lot, but I wouldn't put him at a number.
He's 3. Got hands, but he barely makes the top 5 to me. I mean, like,
wait, Steve is a world-class pugilist and a master of judo.
Yeah, but I wouldn't.
Fighting techniques, including he has taught Rick Jones, Tony Stark. That's I wouldn't say Master Izo.
I wouldn't put Captain. Okay, so like you guys said, Shang-Chi, Black Panther, Iron Fist need to be the top 3. After that, I put Wolverine at number 4. And
martial arts or hands?
Martial arts.
What styles of martial arts is Wolverine training?
He knows practically just about all of them. He's been alive for almost 200 years.
He was in Japan. Remember that long span as he became a samurai. Like
hold on.
He practiced martial arts like every day for like 60 years. He had 3 wives out there. Like
No, wait, hold up. Only 10. Boxing, Bunjikan Ninjutsu, pressure points, Kyosho Jitsu, Aikido, Karate, Savate, Jiu-Jitsu, Kenjutsu, Krav Maga, and Kung Fu. With only 10 styles under his belt, that actually hardly makes him qualified to be mentioned with Black Panther.
I ain't talking about Black Panther. I'm talking about Captain America.
No, oh yeah, definitely have a Captain. But we're talking about hands in terms
No.
of.
We're not saying Wolverine can whoop like Black Panther in a fist fight. What are you saying? We were talking about with the list that they put on there. It's like
No, that list was complete garbage. That list had the number one was Iron Fist. So now we're not going to go by that. But Wolverine, I'd still say, even with that said, with those 10 styles, that healing factor in his Berserker Rage, that gives him an edge. Might have to save that for a versus talk, but
edge, but
Mike.
We just talking about who's the greatest.
Yeah, who's got the hands? Yeah. No, but that's what I'm saying. The fact that he can do all that and he has that healing, like think about the average beating he takes. That nigga heals right back and he's on your ass.
We're not talking about.
Yeah, we're just talking about like as far as like hand to hand combat.
Yeah, just fight like his because the stamina. You know, the thing about fighting hand to hand, like Black Panther. One reason I would put him up there with the hands because his stamina and with the shot, like he doesn't get tired. You know what I'm saying? That goes a long way in the fight with who's got the strongest hands.
I'm just mad they put fucking Elektra on there. She's not even better
that's
than Daredevil.
That's booty. They put Steve Rogers over.
They put Steve Rogers over Daredevil. I need to.
Yo, we just gonna ignore the fact that Black Panther absolutely handled Steve Rogers a couple of times.
Every movie they fought in, he whooping his ass. He whooped Bucky's ass. He whooped Captain America.
I remember in the animated version of Black Panther, he gave Cap one gut punch, like leaned him. He fell asleep on his shield, bro. After that, it was just like, yeah, you don't want them problems, Cap. Relax. And that was just for trespassing. All Cap did was cross the border and not want to listen when he told him, "Yo, go back." He gave,
wasn't it? Hold on, wasn't it T'Chaka or was it T'Challa's grandfather?
You know what? That might have been T'Chaka. You're right. That might have been T'Chaka. I have to go back. You know the animated series I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That was briefly on. Was it Adult Swim show? Or?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it might have been T'Chaka. So pardon me, y'all. I might have been. I don't know everything. So if y'all know something I don't know, please hold me to it. Google it. Let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong at all times. I appreciate it. So yeah, I definitely put Black VP in the top 3.
Elektra over Psylocke.
I don't know because doesn't Psylocke have telepathy?
But she was a trained. She was like
a trained. Well, they're both trained killers though.
But that's what I'm saying. But like, Psylocke would definitely whoop Elektra's ass.
Yeah, if you've got telepathy, I don't see how you could ever lose in a fight to somebody. Like if I could just read your mind while we fight, like nah, bro, I'm whooping your ass.
I don't know. Some people just I don't know. I don't know what people be on when they be writing sometimes.
So we good on Black? What else with Black Panther? Lupita and M'Baku. Like, what do y'all think about Winston Duke? Because I heard that rumor, him possibly taking up the mantle.
I'm gonna be real.
I'll let Banks go.
I don't like that. I don't think Winston Duke. Granted,
you don't like Winston Duke, the actor, or the character?
I don't think Winston Duke could play. Well, I don't see Winston Duke playing T'Challa. I don't get that from him.
Well, not T'Challa, just him becoming Black Panther at some. Like I heard some people saying that on the internet. Like the character of M'Baku coming. I was just like,
Black Panther. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't think M'Baku was ever strong enough to be Black Panther, which is why he can never beat T'Challa. But Killmonger was able to. So I just don't see him. Like I always see M'Baku as a sidekick.
I don't like the idea of M'Baku becoming the leader or necessarily like Black Panther in a sense, just because I mean I know his role is different in the MCU, but I think it's better for him to be more like a rival I know he's not in the MCU. He's not like the full blown enemy that he is in the comic books or whatnot. But at the same time, um, his role is like just kind of like keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. I think
Mm.
that's it's better. It's better. It gives Black Panther like more combatants or whatnot. Not to say that he doesn't have a lot, but like but I mean I'm not saying like this in extreme, but I'm not making the Joker Batman.
Do we get X-Men introduced in Black Panther 2?
And I don't know when we get them introduced, but I cannot fucking wait. I wish they just hurry up and do it.
I wouldn't mind having introducing Storm.
You know why I
Um,
asked, right?
Why?
Oh, y'all didn't know? Atlanteans are mutants.
What?
I
I
know
thought
Namor
Atlanta.
is a mutant.
A number of Atlanteans are mutants, not just Namor. Not the entire race, but the mutant gene is very much prevalent in Atlantean DNA as well, and speculated quicker that they had mutant hybrids before
When did
up
that
top.
happen? I always thought they would just, because like I thought Namor was like a character that was created back in the day when like, they was doing Olympians like with Loki
Well,
and
in the earlier days, but Namor is a hybrid. Well, not hybrid. He's half. His dad was human. And the mutant gene, the gene, whatever that is, just manifested to him. So he's a lot stronger and more powerful than. But another fellow Atlantean mutant, Atuma. Atuma is also a mutant in Atlantis.
so he's not like a god.
Huh?
I, that's just my thing with like people retcon and stuff. I thought Namor was a god.
No, no, no. He's never been a god. He's always been a prince, half blood, half
I
human,
know,
half Atlantean.
I know, but to live to control the seas, I thought back in the day he was like some kind of like demigod, god type thing, like Loki and him, because that's the age he came from.
I think that is a part
I'll be
of
back, fellas. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Okay,
um that's because of that came with King being king of Atlantis, I think. Like the king of Atlantis typically has control of the seas and stuff like that.
look this shit up. What the fuck?
But to date, and this is coming from the Marvel database, Namora, Crosta, Undertow, Atuma, R'hllor, Laura, and another R'hllor from a different planet are all, yeah, Atlantean mutants. And there are more, but these are just the ones mentioned here. But not to say, because Atlanteans are very much humanoid, half human, or like cousins to humans, as explained in their genus. But it's actually never really explained wholly where Atlanteans get their power from or why they are more powerful. That's actually never explained in the Marvel Atlantean history chronology. So we could have mutant Atlanteans unexplained, which we do have some, but
Bruh, I don't like that. I don't think that makes sense.
huh?
That's just me personally. I don't think that makes sense for them to be mutants because like if they're mutants, what
Not
caused?
all, again, mind you,
I
just
know, but I'm
that
saying,
what
I
what
know, but that's my thing. If they're not all mutants, how the hell are all y'all able to live underwater?
because they're Atlanteans.
I know, but so then what are you?
Well, but basically, what I'm saying is, it's
Are
been
you a human?
explained. Where at some point it's been explained that mutants are present in Atlantis, and in terms of the MCU, since we have not had a prior introduction to actual mutants, even um, cinematographically, cinema-wise in MCU, they strayed away very much from saying mutant because during the early days when Fox still owned the properties of X-Men, there was a clash there. So they were using what was the term, calling them specials, or what was it? When they introduced the twins in Captain America, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, they called them something else
They
than
call
mutant.
them projects or some shit
Yeah,
like
but
that.
they were using that terminology very specifically. So now we actually have a segue to just flat out like, yeah, there's some mutants. So that's why I asked. Just I think we might get a segue, but We may not. We may or may not.
Yeah, I'm just saying, cause like my thing with that making Namor a mutant, and it says right here he's a human mutant hybrid. With that,
Yeah, he
so
is.
like, what I know that's what I'm saying. So when they do stuff like that, what are the rest of the Atlanteans? They're
I
just
think
Atlanteans.
I
They're just
think
Atlanteans, but how are they able to breathe? They're able to breathe water because they're Atlanteans, but mutant is like a human gene.
I think Banks. I think
Uh,
um I think what Will may be hinting on is like they're all Atlanteans, but I think
Yeah.
maybe Atlantean DNA just may be more susceptible to the mutant gene,
I know, but the mutant gene
and like
is a human gene though, not an Atlantean gene.
Well, but
well,
Atlanteans are cousins to humans, so the genetic makeup's not that different. They just grew up, they evolved and conditioned to live underwater because that's where they're from.
I think like because I think I'm just speculating, but because of the way that they're made up, it may be more so that their bodies are more so designed to accept the mutation, the X gene, more so than like humans, and because like Namor, I mean he can fly. I mean not all
Right.
Atlanteans can do that. It's just the fact that like they're all Atlanteans, but they just all have different things that are
Yeah.
different about them.
Like Namor is substantially a little bit more powerful because of his mutant power. Like it's basically when the mutant gene developed or whenever it hit, it wasn't just on a surface thing. It developed everywhere in the Marvel universe. And Namor is sometimes referred to as the Marvel's first mutant, quote unquote. Um, I don't know if you want to hold to that, but basically it's his unique genetic makeup that makes him a mutant. Um, he's unique among humans and Atlanteans, but a majority of his superhuman powers come from the fact that it's that hybrid human and Atlantean DNA, and then that mutant gene factored in. So he's kind of like ahead of the evolutionary scale in a sense. But that's not all Atlanteans. Just there are mutants present in Atlantis. But what I'm thinking logically, it's a great way for MCU to just kind of segue and introduce, like, oh yeah, there's mutants by the way, like officially, you know because you could with Atuma with all of that, like yeah, you could pretty much be like, oh yeah, there's some mutants been present, but we're just introducing Atlantean mutants who are just doing because New Mutants was a flop. I think New Mutants was supposed to kind of sort of maybe do that, but that movie just bombed. So
And side note, this is completely random, but since we're talking about Black Panther, whatnot, for everyone out there, if you haven't seen the Avengers Assemble like Black Panther cartoon, check that out. It is dope.
yeah, it was.
It is a dope watch. I recommend that to everyone. It's
That's
great.
Black Panther's quest, right?
Yeah, Black Panther's
Yeah,
Quest. Like
yeah, that was hard.
it's a great watch, not just for you yourself and as an adult if you like animated things, but it's great to watch with your family members and your kids or whatnot. It's like I said before, great show.
Yeah. I want to see Namor and T'Challa. That's why we can't kill T'Challa because I absolutely, if we are getting Namor, I absolutely have to see that fight. I got to see it through. And I got to like understand this, people. T'Challa and Namor fight. It gets busy. It's a good fight. My man washed this nigga though. I'm sorry. T'Challa was washing Namor. He was flexing this nigga, bro.
Why you spoil it for everybody, dog?
That's the comic book. Well, the comic book is out. The movie ain't even out yet, so it ain't no spoiler if y'all ain't even seen the movie yet. And we don't know if Marvel's even gonna stick to that story track. Just saying, in the comics, T'Challa was rinsing this nigga. It was a solid fight, but pretty one-sided for most of the time. You know what I mean? But it's they clash in multiple aspects and variable aspects. So I'm excited to see what's gonna happen. That's just another reason why they can't kill off T'Challa because we got to see him put them hands on Namor, bro. And Namor gonna get busy, he gonna do his thing. How would you feel if you came home and seeing your kingdom destroyed and decimated by the nigga's sister you got beef with? I mean, but random time. That's just me. But Black Panther's Quest, check that out. It was dope. Want to see that fight? What else we got? We got anything else for tonight, guys? Or?
Yeah, I got something. I've been wrong about Namor since my childhood, bro. This is an existential crisis that I'm having right now.
Dude, I didn't know about the wing. I thought so much wrong about this nigga based off he was wearing spandex and had wings on his ankles.
Bro, I literally thought this man was. I thought they were created Namor based off
Hermes.
no, not Hermes, freaking Poseidon. That's why I thought they made him
Mm.
because it came out when Marvel when in night like back then Marvel was doing all this mythology stuff. So that's when they made Loki, Thor. You know, they started doing all that stuff. They had Hercules and shit. So like when they made Namor, I thought it was just Poseidon. I thought he was the king of Atlantis because he was Poseidon. I thought he was like, well, he wasn't per se Poseidon, but I thought he was a character who was supposed to be the king of the sea, like Poseidon was the king of the sea in mythology because they were making all these mythological characters in Golden Age, just like Golden Age Loki looks like a old Norse god. Like it's just man, this is fucking.
I've never really been
Namor's
fully up.
dad is a sea captain.
Yeah, a regular ass nigga. Yeah, he just.
Regular
I've never
dude.
really been fully up on Namor's entire origin. I've just known about him due to his dealings with the Fantastic Four, the Illuminati, and all that. But yeah, he's. I know he's a bit of a dick. He's
Well, yeah,
definitely
I
jerked
knew
out.
that, but like I never
Jerked
read
out
his
as hell.
origin story because it was so old. So like I don't like super old like super old comic books from like the 30s. Like I don't really. I'm be real. I was never a fan of Captain America. I was never a fan of like uh stuff like that. Like I was never a fan of Superman. I was never a fan of like Wonder Woman. That's majority of the reason why I don't like DC is because all their characters, there's their characters that are popular today are still those characters from like way back, like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, stuff like that. They don't really focus on like newer characters, and give them like any shine because they have plenty of characters that are way better than the four
Be
pillars.
real. I wasn't a fan of Cap America until the movie.
Yeah, me either.
Like first event, like the first Captain America movie made me actually like Captain America because
Yeah,
always seemed like a cop out stereotype.
yeah,
And very much like Captain America as a character, the origin, it was very much created as propaganda to help in the effort of like all of that. It was just like I never just bought into that shit. And I was just like,
so like,
but that first movie, I was just like, yo, Cap alright.
I
Cap is
never
alright.
read like into like the origin stories of some of like these older characters, except like X-Men. But I just from that I just thought that Namor was supposed to be Poseidon.
Oh, here's something for you. While you on that with Namor, his ability to fly actually never is explained by either side, but it is later revealed that Namor
It's
is
a mutant.
actually half mutant, half
Yeah,
Atlantean. So he was born that way.
he got his mutant. I just read it. He got his mutant genes from his daddy, and his
Yeah,
mom was
who was just a regular human,
Yeah,
but it just manifested in him. So it's yeah.
So yeah, his mom was a sea nymph, Atlantean sea nymph.
So that would explain why he's referred to as Marvel's first mutant, because Namor, I think, hits the scene before X-Men is founded, in terms of appearances. Because he appears as the Submariner, I think, before X-Men. Let me double check.
I had never read it. I always just thought he was a god or some kind of demigod, which is why he controlled, the seas and stuff.
Yeah, Namor's first appearance, 1939.
Yeah, I just read that 1939.
X-Men first appearance.
I did not like shit back then.
Damn, Namor, 1939, 1963. So yeah, he technically would be the first mutant in Marvel. We just learned something new today, guys. I didn't know that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, since when?
Look, somebody's about to come in here and revoke my geek card. Take my damn glass.
Debuting as early as 1939. Created by Bill Everett. Wow. Silver Age, huh? Okay. So we solved that mystery. Namor is a mutant. So yeah, we might get X-Men and Black Panther. Black Panther 2 might be the setup for everything that's going to be great in Phase 4. Because we're automatic, like the story alone, X-Men, Fantastic Four, in terms of what it opens the door to. Doom Planet. I mean, what could be better?
Better
I
than
mean,
what?
just as
Doom
a
Planet?
comic nerd, what could really be better?
You want me? You want me? Well, this is recent, but I am kind of ready to see. Um,
Mike.
I'm ready to see the Venom Noel story
Oh yes,
in,
yes,
in
Lord,
movie
Venom.
form, bro. The Venom Noel, like it just came out, so it's like it's not coming out anytime soon. But
Oh, what'd you say? What'd you say? I thought you were talking about Carnage. What'd you
no,
say?
no, no. The Noel story, the King of the Venoms, like it's a
Oh,
dude
I
that
didn't know. I don't know about that one.
yeah, it's recent. Like
Is that with
uh,
all the symbiotes?
yeah,
Where we get like toxic, all them introduced?
yeah, because like
Oh,
he's basically the
yeah, it's gonna be
king
hard.
of the king of the symbiotes. It's not really. It's like it's controlled by this demon god
Yeah,
dude.
I know what he's speaking about. He's
Yeah,
talking about the person who's I won't necessarily you could say he controls all the symbiotes, but basically when it comes to symbiote, like he's the top boss.
yeah, because they're all
Mm.
hive mind to him. So like he's been floating in space. So like he sends like the symbiotes go places because they're trying to get but they're still attached to him.
Is there a
But
tie-in to that from with Secret Wars?
no, this is brand new. Like they just finished it. Um, I don't even know if it's finished yet. Um,
Are we talking about Noel just floating around out there?
yup,
Hmm.
yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
So,
I'm ready to see Wolverine.
Noel is the god of symbiotes and the creator of their species.
But yeah, and I'm ready to see Wolverine and my boy Gambit. Hopefully they pull
Sorry,
it
that
off.
just sounded hard, Bob. Go ahead. My bad.
But yeah, I'm ready for them to hurry up and do mutants so I can see Wolverine and Gambit and Deadpool together. So
Channing Tatum is Gambit.
no, I mean I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind it. I'm gonna be real. He kind of look like him. So
Honestly, any at this point, anything, any version of Gambit is better than what we got in that one movie with that one guy who
uh,
did the hand wave thing and the cars just magically.
it's on Taylor Kish. Or,
What was that movie? What movie was that?
it was X Men Origins Wolverine.
yeah.
Didn't like that movie.
Yeah, that movie was pretty bad.
It like it was, but it wasn't, as I remember it. I don't remember it being a bad movie. I remember it just being bad shoot, like the way the story was told.
But it
Like
was
it had the potential to be good. I just don't recall it the way they shot it, and I didn't like. And then the Deadpool at the end, yeah, nah, I
yeah.
wouldn't. No, that was a bad movie. Fuck that. I'm
The
taking that
same
back. I just
movie.
remember
That's
right.
pretty that pretty much explains 90% of X-Men Fox movies.
Yeah, X Men Fox movies are pretty bad.
Do we want to actually do a breakdown on the X-Men movies in an episode and really like? Because no, we could, we really could, and really like nobody's ever really like.
No, I mean the only X-Men movies that are even worth talking about to me probably is Days of Future Past. That was good.
Yeah.
There's,
And
I didn't dislike any of the reboots. First Class, The Future Past. I thought those were decent takes.
I didn't like
Didn't like the last one. Didn't like Dark Phoenix. Absolute booty water.
Booty Water. That
That shit was terrible. Did you watch it, Carl?
the
yeah, I've seen
Apocalypse
it.
one was Booty Water. The
I've
Phoenix was
seen
Booty
them.
Water. I didn't like First Class, man, because I don't like the Fox movies because they mess up the timelines too much. Like
Well, remember those were resets though. First Class and Days of Future Past were direct reboots to the franchise.
don't matter.
Days of
Mystique,
Future Past erased everything that we saw happen before that.
I know that, but Mystique is still not younger than Phoenix. I mean, Jean Grey. She's a little kid in that movie, and Jean Grey's running around a grown adult.
No, Jean Grey wasn't in First Class. Jean Grey wasn't in First Class.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Oh, Emma Frost, not Jean Grey. Emma Frost. Emma Frost is
Yeah, they
the
should be the same age. Yeah.
but she's Mystique is a little kid. Mystique is old. Like she's people's mothers in Marvel. Like she's old. She only looks young because she chooses to look young. But her being like an actual little kid.
Thanks. We can't hear you a little bit, man.
Oh, I was just saying, like the fact that Mystique just is they just mess up their timelines in the Sony movies. And
According to where are we at in the Marvel timeline?
in First Class, it's like when Professor X and Magneto first split up. So it's pretty
Well,
much
because I think we as fans get caught up on when we got introduced to these characters, how old they should be. But according to just quick Googles, Emma Frost is stated to be 16 in Gen X-1. So that would make her 26 at the moment with Marvel's sliding
no,
time
no,
scale.
no. If
I don't know what that means though.
she's 16 in Gen X 1, which is when she was first introduced, which is like the 90s and stuff. But like she would be 26. Yeah, she would be 26. But like Mystique is old. Mystique was a spy back when you know was a grown adult spy when
Yeah, yeah, I did. I'm
Mystique
with what you're
split
saying.
up
I'm with what you're saying.
Magneto.
Basically, we should have just gotten grown Mystique. But that was part and due, I think, to Jennifer Lawrence. Like she was the kind of star of that franchise because as we see how it ended in Dark Phoenix, they didn't even have a. I think whatever direction they were taking, they did a hard pivot from that because how they wrote her character out of Dark Phoenix was just it was so obvious. Like killing her off in the first act was just like what. And at that point, I knew that movie was going to be shit. when they killed Mystique, I was just like, okay,
I knew it was
should
gonna be
leave the
shit
theater now.
from the trailer. So.
So,
Best part was when. Go ahead, Carl. Go ahead.
you guys still talking about X Men? You can finish up. I was gonna.
Now we can leave that because the best part was I was gonna say when Shorty got snatched out the train. But aside from that, I'm good on that. I did have some shows for representation. I wanted to point people in the right direction before we close out that they can check out on Netflix.
Okay, go ahead, shoot him.
Here's 5 shows that y'all can watch on Netflix if you want to get down with some representation. We have first and foremost, well, not first and foremost, but first, Kipo and the Age of and the Age of Wonder Beast. The main characters in this one are all black. Takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. Wolf is voiced by Sydney Michaela, Benson voiced by Corey Stewart, and Dave, a mutant bug, is voiced by Dion Cole, your favorite comedian. So check that one out for if you're looking for a black representation, also as well as diversity. And that show is LGBTQ plus friendly. Second, Dragon Prince that follows Callum, voiced by Jack DeSenia. This seems to be a spinoff of, or at least the creators who worked on Avatar and all that, also worked on this show. His best friend, Prince Ezrin, is biracial. This is an adventure about some guys in the kingdom. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a quest. They have to save the kingdom, and they do that by working through their differences and all that. But diversity, and there's a general in this episode in this series that is actually deaf. So you not only get people of color and the spread out racial diversity, but you get handicaps and stuff, which that's also important. We didn't talk about that in the representation, but for people who may just have disabilities or handicaps, being able to see characters that look like them, or characters who are going through the same things, suffering the same ailments as them, being able to just do that is important. So because of that, I'm actually looking forward to checking this one out. We have She-Ra next, Princess of Power. Y'all remember She-Ra? She is the sister or cousin to He-Man. Diverse cast of characters, strong female leads with authority, and very LGBTQ friendly. If you know She-Ra in the history of Skeletor, she's doing battle with Skeletor, rescuing Etheria from threats that otherwise He-Man can't handle. And the last two, we had a reboot to Voltron, Legendary Defender. This is basically an homage to the original Voltron, but reimagined with people of color and a more diverse cast in terms of who your main characters are controlling robots. Very LGBTQ friendly as well. And last but not least, it's just a top 5 list, but Cannon Busters. Y'all should know about that by now if you don't, but that is all black.
Dope soundtrack on Cannon Busters.
Say what?
Dope soundtrack
Yeah.
as far as like the music.
Dope soundtrack, dope opening, dope ending, dope character.
That opening is fucking fire, dog.
Yeah. No, it is. Is that best anime opening?
Okay, so okay, wait. I got before we say that. So for the next episode, I had planned for us to do a top list episode, and like as far as like not to release like everything we're gonna do, one of my questions that I want to introduce is which animes have the best music as far as like opening and closing? What are your
Oh,
top five?
dude.
Like,
Oh,
what are your
I haven't seen every anime. I can't answer that question.
no? But I'm saying what? No, you don't
How
have to
yours?
see. I'm it. That's the beauty of it. So you can go check out different shows or whatnot because everybody's list is gonna be different. What is your top five? Or it could be whatever we decide. Top.
Here's the thing, though, Carl. The intro is determined by for me, how good the show is.
No, I'm saying, but like your top five like intro musics for animes is not gonna be Banks's top five. It's not gonna be
No,
my
that's
top
that's
five.
true. But what I'm
So
saying is, my view on the intro is heavily based on how good the show is. Like it
I,
resonates more.
but
So
that's fine. That's yours though. That's cool. There's nothing wrong with that.
no, I didn't say there was. What I'm saying is, I can't honestly like. I'm gonna give you my list, but that's until I've watched. In some shows, I haven't watched all of. So I'm saying, like I'm telling people right now, our listeners, my take on that is gonna be very skewed because an unpopular opinion, I can just throw one out as an honorable mention right now, and I'll have to do some research. But I like the outro to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. A lot of people don't.
There's
But
nothing wrong with that, though.
that's
That's
fine.
your
But that's the
opinion.
point of doing it.
That's what he's
No,
saying.
but
That's the
what
whole
I'm telling
point of
people
doing it.
is they're gonna like all the anime out there. I really couldn't. I honestly couldn't because until I've watched everything, I couldn't give you an honest shake on what I think would be the best intro or outro.
No, it's not
But
what you
I'm just
think other
humble.
people's opinion. It's like out of the stuff that you've watched. It's like what's some of the best songs that you've liked on some of these shows that you've watched. You don't have to.
I understand exactly what y'all are saying. What I'm conveying to our audience listeners is we are gonna have some very different. Like, all right, we get into talking about, oh, that's dope, that's dope. That list, I don't know how much we're gonna have to talk about. If one of y'all say some shit I don't know, which I still want to do it, but if I'm just prefacing.
No,
Y'all
I mean,
might
okay.
Carl, give me a show that you're not gonna put in your top five, but just a random show off the top that you would think is
I know. Okay, so what what you're saying? That's fine. Like, there's no reason for us to like to like
argue about it.
to
no,
debate or whatever.
I'm letting
I
people
know.
know. That's all.
Yeah,
I want people to know.
I know what you're saying. I'm just saying that's cool. I'm just saying that's cool. And like, and something like we can do, like we can play the music from it like on here.
No copyrights. Let's check the laws on that first. No, nigga, we not
We're doing
playing
it
shit
live.
till we get the copy. Yeah, nah. Should
doing
get an
it
episode
live.
took down. No, sir. We'll figure that out first. Look, Carl, you just well, damn. I ain't thinking about copyright.
Hey, look.
It's real though, very real.
play it.
Copyrights, all that shit.
If you play,
Could we? Does that we don't own the rights to this technically work?
If we don't own what?
If we put that disclaimer, we don't own the rights to this music. We'll Google copyright laws. We might have to play some shit so y'all get the general gist
Just,
of it.
just play the beat on your desk with 2 pencils. Whatever song you're thinking about, just do the.
What anime was that?
That's Fooly Cooly.